What I'm speaking of is based off of strategic invisibility and covert power. So you must understand that. Imagine you're moving through a city like a chess piece full of pawns on a chessboard, but no one ever sees you coming. That's how we want to win every time we go into war. We control. It's easy to make mistakes out of convenience for freedom. Easy to forget. Freedom requires effort, like they did back in the day. You ever see what happened? The strongest lions do not live in zoos. They live in the wild. That's because comfort kills instinct. Cages kill callings. You get soft. You keep feeding the lion steak on schedule, and one day he's gonna forget how to hunt. And that's some of y'all out there right now. Used to handouts, not hustle. Used to Wi-Fi and not warfare. Start teaching business and politicians arguing over who gets to lie first. Meanwhile, the dollar's losing power and people are losing their purpose. You can't call yourself the greatest nation on earth. Empires don't die in battle. They die in denial, and we are knee deep in it. We brag about GDP growth, but don't talk about mental health collapse. We celebrate the stock market highs, but ignore the record number of bankrupts. We call it the land of opportunity, but most folks can't even afford the dream anymore. Listen, a Harvard Business Review study found that 92% of people who set goals never achieve them, family. Not because they're lazy, but because they're waiting to feel it. That's the trap of motivation. It disappears the moment it stops being convenient. Empires aren't built off feeling. They're built off discipline, family. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Building structures isn't just physical or financial, it's mental. Your daily routine, networks, and decisions are the scaffolding of your legacy. They just scroll, complain, compare until fear eats ambition alive. That's how empires die before they even built. Not from lack of money, not from haters, but from the poison of their own habits. Every time you hit that snooze button, every time you doubt your ideal, every time you talk yourself out of your potential, you're giving fear another meal. From Madam C.J. Walker to Reginald Lewis, they didn't just chase sales, they created structures, systems, and succession plans that outdated them. Let me tell you something. Businesses with clear systems are 30% more likely to survive 10 years than ones without them. Structure, longevity, and chaos equals collapse. In 2023, we watched 3 of the biggest banks collapse since 2008. Silicon Valley, Signature Bank, and First Republic gone. Hundreds of billions of dollars evaporated overnight. And guess what? Those weren't broke people. Those were tech billionaires' banks. So if their money ain't safe, what makes you think yours is? They tell you all the time, don't worry. The FDIC protects up to $250,000. That's cute, but the FDIC only has about $125 billion in insurance funds. So ask yourself, is your kingdom built for looks or for life? You want to be adored or effective? You want applause or you want authority? Because the spotlight don't save you when those cracks appear. Don't chase success, but build psychology for it. Don't wish for peace. Earn it by mastering your mind. The richest man, the strongest soldier, the calmest leader, all learn one truth. Control the mind and the world will follow your command. Motivation is like caffeine, a temporary boost that tricks your brain into thinking it's progress. It's the pep talk before the pain, the playlist before the push. But when the music stops and the hype fades, only discipline shows up for work. That's why success always looks boring in real time, because discipline doesn't post, it produces. See, social media made motivation a trend, but billionaires made discipline a lifestyle. You can't scroll your way into success. You've got to schedule it. Come back with me. Think about the Roman Empire. They didn't dominate because they were the strongest. They won because they built systems that outlasted generations. In the same way, your financial empire would never come from a get-rich moment. It comes from the small, repetitive habits that compound over time. Let's get very practical with this. Stop over-explaining yourself. Stop proving your worth to the wrong crowd. Stop reacting on the noise of social media, fam. Here's why. The more you talk, the more you give away. The more moves you expose. You expose your weaknesses. You expose your strategy. All of these things. The people who move quiet, they get the deals, the money, the influence. There's an old story about a sculptor. Every day he chipped away at the same block of stone for years. One day, a traveler asked, "How did you carve each perfect statue?" He said, "I didn't carve him. He was always there. I just removed what didn't belong." That's what discipline is. Subtraction. Not adding more motivation, but removing every excuse that blocks the greatness. Psychologists call it neural conditioning. The progress of teaching your brain to obey action over emotion. That's how elite soldiers, CEOs, athletes move, not hype, but habit. Warren Buffett once said, "The chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken." So the real question is, are your habits holding you down or holding you up? You don't need motivation tomorrow. You need movement today. Pick one thing you'll do every day for the next 30 days, no matter how you feel, and watch how your discipline builds muscle memory. This week, practice silence in one part of your life. Your circle, your social media, or at work. Notice people reveal more than you thought. Notice the clarity starts to guide your decisions. Notice the power starts following you quietly, invisible. When you wake up, what's the first thing that you touch? Your purpose or your profile? See, they trained you to reach for your leash before you stretch your wings. That's psychological warfare dressed up as entertainment. Back in the day, they fought to own your body. Now they just fight to keep your focus. The Great Pyramids of Giza has stood for over 4,500 years. It didn't survive because Pharaoh Khufu shouted the loudest. It survived because it was designed to last. Emperors, empires, wealth, influence, they don't rise overnight. They rise on structure, strategy, and game plans. Warren Buffett, he lives in the same Nebraska house he bought in 1958, worth only $652,000. Why? Because peace scales better than luxury. Peace is leverage, family. That's why every powerful person protects their calendar like a fortress, because they know time is the only currency that appreciates in silence. See, the highest power move is collaboration, right? The network is the currency. Kings build councils, right? Wise councils, chessboards, right? They have knights, rooks. They got all these people that they communicate with to build these kingdoms. And if you calling yourself a king, then you got to do the same thing. You don't win by shouting out your goals, or I'm about to turn up this year, I'm about to do this. Family, you win by thinking outside of your enemies, being unpredictable, calm, focused. In a world full of exposure, secrecy is the new strength. That's cold right there. You know, you ain't got nothing to prove to nobody, because real power speaks after the victory. So every scroll, every flex, look at me moment, it feeds the algorithm, right? But it starves your discipline. You can't build an empire by performing for approval. You gotta grind in silence, family. They say the loudest man in the room is usually the weakest. But the truth is, family, real killers, they move in silence. You see, life ain't just about who's shining. It's about who's strategizing. Because everybody wants to be seen and heard. But the true silence is the real strength. Your mind, your patience, your discipline. That's where wars are won before a single move is even made. Calm wins the battles. Silence isn't absence of noise, it's focused energy. It's listening more than speaking, observing more than acting, waiting for the right moment to strike. At a meeting, everyone argued to be heard. The quiet man listened, took notes, spoke last, and sealed the deal. That's the code. Observe, absorb, and then strike. You feel me? Then strike. Take time to sit back and see the whole spectrum. Talking gives information. Silent gathers it, right? The one who speaks least learns most. And everybody else is chasing attention and everybody else is chasing fame. You want to be that one that's strategizing and using your time wisely out here. That's how you win, guys. And the whole purpose of that is using introspection, using stealth planning. You got to be smart and wise out here and using disciplined execution. Ever seen a lion in a cage? Still powerful, still dangerous, but quiet. Not because he's weak, but because he's trained to forget who he is. That's some of y'all right now. Powerful, but silent. Y'all forgot how to roar. Listen. The mirror don't lie. You just left is who you really are. This week, practice silence in one part of your life. Your circle, your social media, or at work. Notice people reveal more than you thought. Notice the clarity starts to guide your decisions. Notice the power starts following you quietly, invisibly. The psychology of success, winning the war within. Check it out. You can't conquer the world if you haven't conquered your mind. Everybody wants the crown, but nobody wants the battle that happens inside. See, most people lose before they even start. Not because they're weak, but because they don't understand their own thoughts are trained to destroy them. They call it freedom. They don't need whips no more. They got dopamine. The algorithm studies you, learns your fears, your habits, your hunger, then feeds you just enough truth to keep you comfortable and just enough chaos to keep you coming back for more. That's not coincidence, that's control. And here's the sick part about it. They helped you build it. Every argument online, every like out of boredom, every time you scroll past your purpose to watch somebody else live their life, brick by brick. A lot of people think they made it, but they're still answering to other people. I like what Dame Dash be saying about that. You can't buy that. You got to become that, family. That means discipline. That means sacrifice. And I'm not talking about your family and things of that nature. That means building something that doesn't need permission to exist. You got to bring something to this world, to this life, to this table. And they should not be able to take it away from you. You feel me? Understand that because you're so powerful. So if you ask you, and I ask you, what is your freedom worth? And how much does your peace cost? Because a lot of y'all it's not even working for peace. How much control did you sell just to feel safe in your space with your phone? I know this is deep, but you gotta understand this. If your paycheck owns your soul, you still got chains on, family. And I ain't talking about the ones for fashion. If your validation comes from strangers, you still got chains. If your mind ain't yours, then neither is your future. You must understand that. Keep that in mind because the future is coming and it's going to be fast and it's going to be quick. We don't need another protest sign. They can program it, pause it, limit it, expire it. And once you lose the right to transact, you lose the right to live free. They say the loudest man in the room is usually the weakest. But the truth is, family, real killers, they move in silence. You see, life ain't just about who's shining. It's about who's strategizing, because everybody wants to be seen and heard. But the true silence is the real strength. Your mind, your patience, your discipline. That's where wars are won before a single move is even made. Land, gold, stocks, Bitcoin, businesses, power, because they understand the game. When inflation rises, the value of your cash falls, but the value of their assets climb. They play chess, while the most of us are still playing checkers with debit cards. In 2023, Federal Reserve raised interest rates faster than any time in modern history. They said they were fighting inflation, but what they really did was choke the economy until the middle class couldn't breathe. Mortgages up, credit card debt at a record high, over $1.1 trillion. A savings account. When you wake up, your purpose or your profile. See, they trained you to reach for your leash before you stretch your wings. That's psychological warfare dressed up as entertainment. Back in the day, they fought to own your body. Now they just fight to keep your focus. The moment you pick up the phone, somebody's renting space in your head for free. Researchers from Harvard found that 47% of our waking hours are spent thinking about something other than what we're doing. That means almost half of your life is noise, not peace. And the industries, they profit off your attention. They know it. Every notification is a toll booth. Every argument is a transaction. They sell you distraction because focus don't pay the bills, family. There's an old story about a sculptor. Every day he chipped away at the same block of stone for years. One day, a traveler asked, "How did you carve each perfect statue?" He said, "I didn't carve him. He was always there. I just removed what didn't belong." That's what discipline is. Subtraction. Not adding more motivation, but removing every excuse that blocks the greatness. Psychologists call it neural conditioning. The progress of teaching your brain to obey action over emotion. That's how elite soldiers, CEOs, athletes move. Not hype, but habit. You feel me? They post the crown, right? But they hide the cracks, family. You see what I'm saying? But leadership without humility, that's a window, not a wall. You feel me? It looks solid until somebody leans on it. But here's the most important part. Just wait. Here's the most important part of this right here. I remember a dude, everybody used to talk about him, and he called himself Chief, right? Money loud, music loud, your followers even louder, but he couldn't take advice from anyone. He thought that correction was competition. So when the storm came, his empire looked strong on the ground, but it was made of glass in real life. One hit, gone. You feel me? A lot of y'all living like that. And that's what happens when you can't fake foundation, because sooner or later, truth tests everybody's throne. Everybody's throne is going to get tested. And here's the real parable. Glass don't break because of pressure alone. It breaks because imperfections inside of it, baby. You must understand it. That's pride, the imperfections inside of it. That's fear. That's the part of you that refuses to grow. So if you want to stay on that throne, you better fix what's inside, because the outside world, before the world calls you a king, you have to recognize the one that's in your own reflection. You understand me? Because power don't start in your pockets. It starts in your perception. Understand that. It don't start from your pockets. It starts from your perception. Every kingdom you ever build begins with inside it, okay? And if you see yourself as less, the world will believe you. You see what I'm saying? If you see yourself as less, the world will believe you. And here's the sick part about it. They helped you build it. Every argument online, every like out of boredom, every time you scroll past your purpose to watch somebody else live their life, brick by brick by brick by digital brick, you've built your own mental prison. They call it content. I'm calling it conditioning. You think you're consuming, but you're actually being consumed, because the algorithm don't want your attention. That's what you must understand. It wants your identity, and y'all falling right in the trap. Every empire in history thought it would last forever. Rome, Egypt, Great Britain, all of them had armies, gold, and pride, but they all forgot the same rule. You can't spin your way out of decay. See, America ain't broke because they don't have money. America broke because we don't have values anymore. We print dollars like confetti, but can't print discipline. But what happens is when you make it and you realize you're still in somebody's cage, it just got better furniture. You feel me? You still in the cage. It just got bigger and better furniture. See, they took the chains off your wrist, the iron chains off your wrist, and gave you the silver, gold, diamond. You feel me? Shinier, heavier, smoother to the touch. You know, they look real fancy now, them chains. They look real fancy, and I'm a jeweler. They look real nice right now, but they still chains. You think you're building influence, but you really don't know they're building you. You ever notice how tired you feel scrolling? Not just tired, but hollow. Your energy, your focus, your drive, all drained while somebody else profits off of your attention. And it's all subtle. There's no genius to the digital cage. You scroll, you shop, you swipe, and your mind gets sold piece by piece. Look in the mirror. You see yourself, right? Or at least you think you do. Half the people looking in that glass is not seeing the truth. They're seeing smoke. See, smoke don't lie. It just blurs. It hides the real shape of what's behind it. And that's what the world has done to you. It taught you to build your reflection out of illusions. Money, clout, likes, attention. Now you're staring at a foggy version of yourself.